Welcome back to Continental Club Xtra, where for 2 days in a row now we have witnessed a historic World Cup upset. Joining me today is Henry Hill and Patrick Van Straten. Henry, let's just get straight into it. What the hell went wrong for Germany today?
Yeah, you're right. Pat and I have been lucky. We've had the 2 upsets so far.
Yeah,
Unlike our colleagues.
well.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Japan, first and foremost. You've got to say that. They kind of like Saudi Arabia yesterday, they rode there like the first half. They sort of came in a position where a result was still achievable, and they came out and they made that match all about 45 minutes in the second half, and I thought that was hugely impressive from them. Really, it's a story about 2 managers making the wrong decisions, in all honesty. One making the right decisions, Hansi Flick being outsmarted in this game. I think the Japanese manager deserves a huge amount of credit. But yeah, Flick, really, his side, when it looked like the game was getting away from them, he couldn't react in the necessary manner. We saw him take off Thomas Müller and Gundogan for Goretzka and Hoffmann. That didn't really make any impact on the game. We then saw them take off Musiala, who almost scored that absolute wonder goal. It's another example. If they just took some of their chances, then they could have been clear. And then really struggling up front as well. Havertz had an absolute stinker in this match. I mean, that's been one of the big kind of talking points about who Germany were going to line up with at the spearhead of that attack. Havertz in this game, not a single shot or a dribble and just one key pass. Yes, he got caught offside for a disallowed goal, but he was quite clearly offside. Difficult game for him, in all honesty. And if I'm Füllkrug sitting on the bench, 10 goals in 14 for Werder Bremen this year. Okay, he's not got much experience at international level, scored that goal against Oman. But if I'm him, I'm looking at that going, come on, Flick, give me the opportunity to lead this line, because they've got enough attacking talent in behind, as we saw in the first half, which was really, some great play by Germany, really suffocated that Japanese midfield. They knew that Japan were going to try and pass through them. That's where their main strengths are, and they just got all of their midfielders to press high and really stick it on the Japanese players. And I was really impressed with how they started, and even the decision to play Süle at right back I didn't think really mattered because essentially there was so much threat going in front of them. David Raum I thought had a great game, but then but ultimately he was sort of one of the position points which Japan continued to target. They realised that is where they were going to get through in the first half, and in the second half he got caught out certainly at various moments. Yeah, it was just, I think Flick just got it all wrong this game. I don't know what Pat thinks about that, but I mean, I just think that Hansi Flick, he's continued Germany's run of being not very good at international tournaments recently. They haven't had it easy in the Nations League. Obviously had a miserable World Cup last time. So yeah, I think nerves got the better of them. So when Japan started to turn the table on them, they fell apart.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right, Henry. They didn't even come into the tournament in particularly good form, did they? Obviously, they breezed their qualification group, but just 3 wins from 9 in 2022, including that Oman win, which was, only 1-0 in the end. Israel and Italy were the other 2. And yeah, I do imagine that fans in Germany will be calling for Füllkrug to start the next game because, yeah, they certainly did lack that focal point up top. But enough about Germany, because Japan, Pat, I mean, that second half performance, one of the best we've seen at the World Cup so far, right?
Yeah, and Henry's absolutely right. I mean, if Germany had taken one of their other chances, then we might be talking about a totally different result. Same thing as we kind of said with the Argentina game. But yeah, the attempts to pass out in the first half from Japan, as Henry has said, were kind of ill-advised because the German press was really, really high. They were one of only 5 teams at this tournament so far who've managed to break up their opposition's possession more often than every 10 passes. So they're an intense pressing team. And in that first half, Japan had a pass accuracy of 58%. Now that's lower than any team in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. Wow. But in the second half, they went up to 79%. So not only were they able to get a foothold in the game, but I also think that they sort of thought, rather than trying to play their way out intricately, they knew that the fullbacks were positioned high and they knew they could hit those zones. So when Raum went forward, they went for those areas. And actually, it was a real pace and power performance on the wings from Japan in the second half. They were able to break through in those zones. And we saw even before they got the equalising goal, another break down the side, Neuer palmed it out. It was a real warning sign. And then a couple of minutes later, the goal comes. Then the second goal comes from a similar way, just on the other side. So I was really, really impressed by that. That seemed a smart adjustment. And just the ability to gain territory as well. In the first half, they completed 26 passes in the German third. Germany competed 155 in theirs. In the second half, Japan competed 47 and Germany competed 90. So it's still much, much closer. And Germany, 26 shots, 14 in the first half. Japan had 1 in the first half. In the second half, 12 shots to Germany, 11 to Japan. So it really is an indication of how they were able to adjust tactically and also, I think, bring on some talent. You know, we saw Mitoma started on the bench, came on and was bright, Minamino too, Tomiyasu as well. And I think as well with this Japan team, they're really smart about how they try and break up play. I mean, today, their success in the challenge was wild. They attempted 31 tackles. They completed 28 of them.
Mad.
Germany only completed 3 dribbles in the whole game. But they also committed 14 fouls, Japan. So in those moments where it looked like Germany were about to get into the danger zone, I mean, sure, they did it several times, and they put up 3 XG. You'd expect them to score more than 1. But they did know when to commit tactical fouls. So I think that was really smart as well. So overall, really, really impressive. You know, Endo in midfield, great, won 9 of his 11 duels. It was just a performance characterised by grit, a little bit of luck, and then making the most of those key moments. Yeah. But very smart decisions all round. And now Germany have got a hole to climb out of, right?
Huge hole to climb out of. You're absolutely right, Pat. Spain on the weekend, Japan, you know, go into that game with Costa Rica with, you know, qualification for the last 16 in their hands. And yeah, like you both saying, you know, Moriyasu, the Japan manager, I mean, perfect substitutions, weren't they? Tomiyasu coming on for Kuba at half-time, changing the shape from 4-2-3-1 to 3-4-3. Minamino and Doan then combining for that first goal just minutes after they came on. And Asano on for Maeda, who had a pretty poor first half. I think he only had 1 shot. He was also caught offside, wasn't he, early on. Yeah, Asano 5 shots from 14 touches.
So in a third of a game, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, a super efficient performance from him. And yeah, just, you know, reshaping that forward line really, really worked for them, getting that extra energy on the pitch. But back to Germany, Henry, because, yeah, I mean, they couldn't have got off to a worse start in this tournament. We've spoken about their kind of difficulties, but, I mean, that defence did get exposed. Süle and Schlotterbeck, you know, struggled at points. Raum, you know, attacking-wise, brilliant, especially in that first half, but was always going to leave a lot of space in behind. What do you make of their chances now going forward? Do you still see them getting through this group? How far do you see them progressing?
That Spain game is absolutely massive, and Spain are in good form. I think like 7 wins out of 10 going into this. I mean, the Costa Rica result, I'm not going to make any predictions now, so I don't look silly. But you know, I think the one thing working maybe in Germany's favour is Spain's ability to sort of score isn't quite as impressive as their ability to build up the play. You know, Morata, who I think is a very honest and decent forward leading the line, but I don't think that German defence are going to look at that and be too worried. I still saw enough in that German performance, certainly in the first half, that if he keeps players like Gundogan on, because Gundogan was key to most of their sort of positive play today. He was always the one sort of milling outside the area. He hit the post with that shot there. I think he was so central to conducting how that German attack operates. I think if he just puts more faith in those players and leaves them on, and he will do, he doesn't need to make as many changes against Spain necessarily, I think then I've still got confidence that they'll get through that game. But yeah, it really depends. If Spain get off to a good start against Costa Rica, then it's going to be all on Germany, and that's not a great position for them to be in. We saw what happened last time against South Korea when they just melted away in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Pressure on Hansi Flick and Germany going into the weekend. But that's all we have time for on Continental Club Extra for today. We will be back tomorrow. Can't remember who we're covering tomorrow, but you know, it's probably going to be another classic. Let's face it, if luck is anything to go by. Thanks for watching, everyone. And also, yeah, what do you make of Germany's chances going into that game against Spain on Sunday? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.